So last time we spoke about what went wrong with TJTV, why it has been so long since I've wanted to do any episodes, as well as what it needs to do in order to actually make it back to my content lineup. And that's all well and good, but it's not the only change I think I need to make. So this begins with the last 3 years of doing random review, and this is kind of why random review has chugged so much here in the last month or so. The last few Transformer toy lines that we have gotten have been, trying to fill in as many gaps from G1 as possible, getting us combiners, getting us headmasters, getting us Dinobots, etc., etc., trying to cater to fans as much as it can, and that's all well and good. But the more I talk about these toys and the longer these toy lines go on, the more I start to see the problems inherent with it, and the more it starts just getting to me. So we start off with the beginning of the Prime War trilogy, which is Combiner Wars, and everyone was so excited for Combiner Wars, me included, because look, Hasbro said they would never do combiners again, and here is an entire line of combiners. We're getting all the old teams. We're going to have to wait a little while for Abominus, and who knows what happened to the Seacons, but, we're getting a lot of others, right? So, awesome. Okay, now we take a look at this. The line itself was good. It had good toys to it. Like, I wouldn't call any of them, like, bad. Like, the breakdown mold, a little disappointing. But I wouldn't call it bad. Like, the toy line gave me no plastic addict victims, let's put it that way. What it did do, however, and what made it kind of grating to review, was it did so much similar to each other. The combining gimmick, especially in the deluxe class toys, hampered a lot of what they could have been, and forced them to be a little bit too samey, because all of them had to form an arm. All of them had to form a leg. And the arms and legs all had to be about the same length. The elbow all had to be at the same spot. The articulation had to be the same in both sides. The length of the legs had to be the same so they didn't stand awkwardly. The wrists had to come to a point at the same spot so the arms didn't look uneven. And everything has to be kind of proportioned the same way, because, you didn't want to have one big thick arm and one tiny scrawny arm, do you? So, the line itself, it started feeling repetitive. And it didn't help when all 4 aerial bots felt like the same toy, and then they kept producing other aerial bot remolds. So you actually had a lot of very similar toys going on at the same time. And as a reviewer, it's frustrating, because I have to talk about that arm mode every single time. I have to talk about the leg mode every single time, even though they're almost identical. I have to do it just in case the tabs don't fit right. The fitting's a little bit weird. They're loose here in the ankle, or, like the elbow doesn't hold up to weight when you're holding a weapon. It's reviewer stuff. You have to talk about it just in case, there's a particular problem with that toy in any one mode or another. But it does mean I have to talk about the same arm every single toy. I have to talk about the same leg every single toy. It got exhausting to talk about. And while the toy line did produce some really, really solid figures, that I could enjoy just on their own, Rook especially, I started just feeling everything had to be so similar to each other. The legs even the ones who didn't share a mold still had similar leg transformations, because there's just certain ways that we could do it. All of them ended up being around the same size, because that's the size they had to be in order to make all of the gimmicks and all the proportions work in every mode. They all had to have a similar structure to them, because they had that big combiner block in their chest, and all the engineering had to revolve around that. It got exhausting. Combiner Wars ended probably about where it should. Even at that point, I think a lot of people were just getting tired of the toy line, because so much felt the same. And then we move on to Titan's Return, and this is such a breath of fresh air. All the toys, like the headmaster gimmicks were so much simpler to engineer. You didn't have that huge block in the chest taking up potential engineering space. You had cockpits, but they could be put anywhere, So you had a whole bunch of things going on that we didn't have for a whole year, or more than a year, now that I think of it. But you had all of these toys that were so different from what we had just gotten. It felt great. I meant to do a top 10 from last year of all the Titans Return toys, or the best Transformers of 2017, and the toy that was going to top it was Top Spin. Top Spin was absolutely fantastic. A great, great Transformer, no matter what. But you had so many things that could do so many different things that we couldn't do in Combiner Wars because we weren't restricted. We didn't have to have the same proportions. We didn't have to have them shaped out the same way and moving the same way. We could have different gimmicks and different ideas and different play patterns going on, and it felt like Transformers again. One reason I kept up Random Review 3 times a week for so long was because the Transformer toys all felt different from each other. It's one reason why I love Transformers, because they all feel so different from each other. And Combiner Wars just kind of homogenized the entire toy line. It was exhausting. And then in Titans Return, we had all these cool new toys that were all doing different things, but we still had elements of just same old, same old. When it came to those Titan Masters, I have to talk about every single one when I'm doing a review, but they all do the exact same thing, and you can hear it in my reviews. When I talk about the Titan Masters, it's always the same thing, isn't it? Like they're barely painted in robot mode, if they're painted at all. You have the same ball-jointed arms that only go up and down. You have the same hips and knees that only work, are double hinged, that let them go into a sitting position. And I have to talk about that every single review, every single one. And this time it wasn't just the deluxes, the Voyagers, and even the leader class toys, even though I didn't review any leader class toys in that toy line. I actually, I had so many of those headmasters to go through, and they all had to go through the exact same process. It's 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes of footage in every single review that is identical to every other review of every other Titans Return toy I did, and you could hear it in my voice when I got to it, how exhausted I was of describing the articulation in these stupid heads. But still, the toy line was fun, it was engaging, and it was still producing even toward the end of the line, it was still producing some really solid, really fun toys. Power of the Primes. We're back to combining. Once again, everything kind of starts having a very similar feel to it. Things start transforming the same across different toys. The proportions have to be the same. I have to talk about the arm load. I have to talk about the leg mode. And all this still going on. And now we are compounding it. As a reviewer, it is such an exhausting toy line to talk about. Because we have to cover the arm mode. We have to cover the leg mode. And it always feels like we're talking about the exact same thing because the arms and legs have to be made the same way so the combiner works properly and doesn't look too awkward. And now we have the Prime Armor gimmick on top of that is exactly the same in every single review. That I have to talk about the stupid way it combines in vehicle mode, the stupid way it combines in robot mode, and the stupid little panel that comes out and is supposed to form a gun and doesn't look like a gun because it's a flat panel. I have to talk about that every single review, and it's mind-numbing. And then we go and we still have Titan Masters, we call them Prime Masters now, and now I have to talk about them in regards of the little decoy armor toys, which I like, but all of them are exactly the same. So if I do a review of like Wave 2, which I have sitting on my desk now, I could do that, but it would sound exactly like the review for Wave 1. And that's not engaging, that's not entertaining, and that's not engaging for me either. I find myself bored of talking about Power of the Prime toys. That's why I bought the Studio Series toys. I'm not a fan of the movie engineering anymore. I'm not a fan of the movie designs anymore. But I wanted to give it a fair chance. I wanted to see if all this time, all these years producing these designs finally led to a toy line where everything matched up and all the engineering was, very well kept and, made sense and all this. And, surely this is going to be like the master line for the Transformer movieverse. And we saw how that went. I frankly probably should have kept the Bumblebee for Plastic Addict. It was that bad. I wanted to give it an honest chance because it was something different in Transformers. And now I, I see toys in there that look interesting. The Megatron and Grimlock are high up on my curiosity lists, but I've been burned, and I don't want to do that again. It was frustrating. And this, and of course, this is the toy line where Takara would start going, oh no, we're just going to make the same exact toys that Hasbro makes now. We're not going to improve them, or we're not going to upgrade the paint job, and we're not going to improve the fit and the parts and remold some things to be sturdier. We're just going to release the exact same toys now. What a time to make that decision. That Bumblebee would be a nice toy if Takara got their hands on it, could actually improve the engineering. So what I'm left with is Power of the Primes. And Power of the Primes, they're trying to do different things. I think they're aware that the toys are just, very much the same. We have to build around that combiner block. We have to make them all similar articulation, similar in proportion, similar in stature and size and all of this. And all, we have to make these modes all work, etc., etc. They're trying different things because the toys are very different. But then again, we're still getting things like Blackwing, who's sitting on my shelf right now. And I got Power of the Prime Wave 2. I did the Dinobots, and I still have 3 toys from that line I need to review. And there's just Blackwing just staring me in the face, what are you going to do? It's another aerial bot. You're going to talk about another aerial bot remold, aren't you? I have to talk about the same stupid arm mode, same stupid leg mode. I have to talk about the stupid Prime armor in both modes and how useless it is and what a terrible accessory and gimmick it is. As a reviewer, as casual collectors, as a collector, I'm still interested in the line because I'm getting characters that have been so ignored for so long. But as a reviewer, it is so exhausting. And you think, well, I'm still just talking about toys. What a thing to be whining about. Anything gets monotonous if you go through it often enough. It's why I try to mix things up with random review. I know sitting in front of a camera just playing with a toy for 15 minutes is not engaging. So, that's why it's random review. I'll throw a figure art in. I'll throw in a Kamen Rider toy. I'll throw in a blind box thing. I'll try to keep it different. I'll try to keep it interesting. But I also have to keep up with the Transformers because you got to review them as fast as possible, because once everyone has their opinion, no one cares about the opinion that comes along late. So there's that. I've been thinking that maybe I'm going about this the wrong way. Maybe just trying to hammer out as many toy reviews as possible is not the way to keep my channel active. Maybe it's not the way to keep my channel alive. And it's definitely not the way to grow my channel, because the growth of my channel has slowed significantly since random review became the main source of content. It's clear that it should not be the main source of content. I need to develop something else, or I need to get back to something that was more popular. And you're gonna cry Plastic Addict if I had the time in the day to do all of that. That's a lot of recording, that's a lot of editing, that's a lot of planning, that's a lot of researching, that's a lot of stuff that I don't normally have to do with a toy review. If I'm just sitting down and typing out like a TJ reviews of a toy, then I'm just talking about the toy. There's not a whole lot that has to go into that. Plastic Addict has to be a lot more refined than that. I'm also not going to lie, most of my Plastic Addict toys are in a bin that's inaccessible right now. I will admit I got a little bit careless with how I stored those toys away, and they are currently sitting in a place that's very difficult for me to get to, and I haven't had the time to dig out an entire room just to get to that bin. And even if I get to that bin, I don't have anywhere else for that bin to go. So unfortunately, that's a reason why Plastic Addict is so delayed. I have options outside of that. There's other things I can do. It's another thing I have to figure out and rectify, isn't it? But more to the point, I need to develop. I want to develop something different. I want to develop things that aren't so toy review reliant. Because I want variety in the channel. And I've tried video game content. I've done the streaming thing. It's hard for me to get 2 uninterrupted hours in the evening anymore to do live streams. Um, and not that many people turned out. Like, the people who turned out were really into it because we get to talk. We get to do like live Q&A, and we get to kind of play a game together. You guys help me out in the game, and go through what I go through when I'm playing a game, because usually when I'm doing a stream I'm playing a game for the first time. So I'm discovering things and experiencing them as you guys are, so that's part of the fun of it. But not a whole lot of people showed up for that. For as many subscribers as I have, maybe about 50 people show up for a live stream, which is not audience I can grow on and depend on live streaming for. It also doesn't help that I have no Twitch presence, and I hate the way YouTube wants me to monetize streams on its own format. YouTube's super chat thing is a total ripoff. If I could decide the price points for myself, that would be fine. But I have to stick with the price points they give, and I find them to be completely outrageous. So I'm not going to ask anybody to spend that. So that's one reason. That's another reason. Because it's 2 hours where I should be editing. I should be writing videos and making real content, rather than just sitting and playing a video game and doing a live stream that isn't really going to get me anywhere. Isn't going to be isn't going to gain me anything. I hate to put it that way, but I need to eventually start thinking about it like a business. I've tried other Let's Play content. I did I did a prototype episode for TJ versus VG. Its response was lukewarm. That's probably because I picked a bad game to start off with. It wasn't really indicative of the format that I wanted to go with. So I might try that one again, maybe not, I don't know. And then I tried Handheld Hell, which seemed to get an interesting response, but YouTube also apparently didn't like something about it, either the fact that it was Mortal Kombat or the fact that I put Hell in the title, because they demonetized it immediately. Which meant I put a lot of work into that video, learning as I go how that kind of video has to be produced, and I didn't make a dime. So again, I'm back to square one. It's like eventually I have to look at it as a business, and I have to make sure what I'm doing is worth my time and can actually grow my channel with it. So that's not going to work either. Maybe it is, maybe it's a little 400 change, maybe I just need to post it on the right day for people to catch interest in it. I don't know. It's a code that I don't know how to crack. The stuff that has done the best for me lately is just opinion stuff. The Here's 10 that I did. Like, the first one I did, rocketed off. It's been years since I had a video that had that kind of response and reaction. And that was a wonderful thing to see. I did the video for Starscream, and I was hoping it would be even bigger because top 10 Starscreams is a much hotter topic than here's 10 G1 characters who still need a new toy. I figured this would be more of a mainstream audience thing as compared to that one, which was a little bit more niche. But it didn't take off as well, but it still did good. It still performed, and I still want to do more. So I have a whole text document of all these top 10s I want to do. And I'm thinking, can I get away with a Kamen Rider top 10? Do I have to stick to a Transformer format, or can I interject some other stupid stuff into this? Can I just have fun with the format? Which is what I want to do. Let's do something weird and goofy with it. Let's do, top 10 female Transformers who have an A in their name. I don't know. I don't know. But I want to do something silly like that. And I'm starting to think of content that is more reactionary, that is more me on camera. Because I haven't done that in so long. I haven't just done a video for you guys where you're looking at me while we're talking, So I've got ideas, I've got plans. As always, this is pretty common for me. I have plans and I have good intentions. It's a matter of having the time to see them through. Some of this I might put up to opinion. Some of this I might put up to poll. If you're on my Patreon, I might send this to you guys, because I want to start interacting with my Patreon channel a lot more, and I want to start putting things to your opinion, because if you are on my Patreon, you guys deserve to have a say in what I'm doing, and you guys have a say in the future of the channel, because you're helping to keep it alive directly, and I deeply appreciate that. So I'm probably going to put it up to a Patreon thing where here's what I want to do, here are the ideas I have, here's what I'm considering changing the channel to. Toy reviewing is always going to be a major part of my content stream, but after 10 years of talking about toys on YouTube, I want to talk about other things. I want to try something else. So, if you're my Patreon, check it out. And sometime in the near future, we're going to go into a little bit of a discussion there. So, Patreon's a topic for another day. I'm not even going to do that in this string of vlogs because I need to really think about that and approach it carefully. But that's getting a revamp too. I want to make my Patreon more appealing, and I want to solve the problems that Patreon campaigns typically have. I think I've cracked the code. I don't know. But I want to make it more engaging. I want to make it more something that people want to get involved in, because the way YouTube is handling things these days, and the way it just keeps getting worse. Like, the last time I had one of these off weeks, YouTube just stopped telling my subscribers I was making videos, and my view count was like cut in half, which is terrible, which is really awful. So, I'm scared of that happening now, actually. So, it's becoming clear that YouTube may not be dependable. It's been clear for a long time. YouTube is not dependable. But for notifying you guys. This is why I leave all these social links. I'm on Twitter. I have a Facebook page. Where I have an Instagram. I have a Tumblr. And most of those, I post every new video I make to those so you guys can see it immediately in your content feed. I implore you to follow me there, because YouTube apparently doesn't want some of you to know when I'm making things. This is just how it goes. So, clearly, a lot of things have to change. I want to see if I can do something that has a daily content stream. I want to see if I can do something that is more interactive. I want to do something that is more engaging, that you guys can have a say in. I'm trying to think of what the future of this channel is going to look like, and what steps I need to take in order to make that happen. It can't be as simple as, I've got a green screen and a 4K camcorder, so clearly I'm on the cutting edge. No, my content has to be enjoyable, and it can't be just depending on nothing but me yammering on about a toy in front of the camera for 15 minutes. It has to be something different. It has to go on. Random review, I don't know if it's going to go away entirely, or if it's just going to transform. 3.0 was supposed to be, I'm turning it into this more engaging show, where it's more cleaned up, it's funnier, and it's briefer, and I'm cutting out all of this useless garbage that I'm spouting the whole time during the reviews. So hopefully it turns into that. Hopefully that was what the 3.0 was supposed to be. Yeah, I'm still hoping to turn it into that, but I don't think it's going to be as frequent as it used to be. I think it might be exclusive to new toys that don't garner like the full TJ review treatment. If I can get the time to actually sit and just write like I used to, I would like to do TJ reviews as the main content of the channel again. That way you get more polished reviews that are more professionally presented and funnier. I want to do funny things. I want to make you guys laugh again, because I feel like I don't ever make you guys laugh anymore. And that was the whole point, was to do toy reviews that weren't just opinions. They were personality. And the more I've tried to push more and more as a solution to YouTube's declining generosity when it comes to ad revenue, the less and less of that the less and less humanity I've had in those videos, and I'm not happy with it anymore. So, like the TJTV plans, the random review plans have to change, and I'm rethinking everything about how my channel works. And all of this started just because I'm sick of reviewing Prime Wars toys. You would be too if you had to talk about those stupid arm and leg modes for 3 years. Anyway, so that's what's going on around here. That's another vlog down the drain. I don't know if I have another one in me, because I've been sitting here and for like an hour staring at this camera, talking nonstop. I need to give my throat a break. There are other topics crossing my mind. If I've got enough peace and quiet to do it, I might just come back and do it again once I've got a little bit of something cold in me. But if not, you'll still see it. Just I'll record it some other time. So that's the state of things. Thank you for listening this far. And hopefully this gave you some hope for the channel, because I know what a lot of people don't like about it, and I don't like it either anymore. I want to change it just as much as you guys do. So I told you change was coming. So it's time to make the change happen.